Hey guys, got the camera started a little late there. I am at Electric City Harley-Davidson in Dickson City, PA, and it's demo ride day, and I just rolled out on a Pan America 1250 Special. This is definitely the tallest bike I've ever ridden. When first getting on it, the bike is in a high configuration, and then when you flip on the switch you feel it lower, and that's good. If you're having trouble getting on it, you can stand up on one of the foot pegs and throw your leg over, and that helps a lot. I had just ridden the Sportster S, which is the same 1250 Revolution Max engine, and that was very sporty. I was leaned very forward. This is obviously a very different bike. Now this is not that sport configuration, but I'm a little more upright position, rider triangle. However, my knees are bent quite a bit, whereas this Sporty had somewhat forward controls. These are definitely mids. I'm not a big fan of mids, but it takes some getting used to. But there are a lot of different ways you can position yourself on this bike. So the Pan America has been out for a few years, very big hit in the adventure market. I started out on a Sportster 10 years ago, and along the way got into a Dyna and Dyna Lowrider, and then a couple years ago a Street Glide Special, and I really love both of those bikes. They alternate nicely. I would love to have a Pan America as a winter bike, a bike that I could take out and not care about it getting hit with cinders or salt or whatever. Just kind of a beater. Having three bikes is not in my future, but it did enter in my mind if I was going to have a bike like that, this would be a very cool one to have. Love the guards on the handlebars for your hands, which definitely helps with wind. As someone who's only ridden Harleys, it takes some getting used to having both turn signals on the left side, but I've done a few rides with that now. Alright, so the clutch feels really good. This definitely has some pep. I'm not going to be able to enjoy that on this ride, unfortunately. But you turn that throttle, it moves you, there is no question. They did a really nice job with the Revolution Max engine. It looks really cool. You can really rev it. I have hit 3,000 RPM on my V-twin. It is definitely ready to shift, but from what I understand, you can take this up to 6,000-7,000 RPM, and it's just still there pulling you, which is really cool. So this is the Pan America Special, 1250 Special. There also is a CVO this year, 2024. I might get to ride that, and if I do, I'll link that at the end of this video. The seat doesn't look like much, but it actually feels pretty comfortable so far. I find you really need to do a few rides at an hour a pop to really get a feel for a seat. But it's certainly good if you can buy a bike and not have to immediately start changing out parts. I really like the screen. Some of the bikes, newer bikes, have very small TFT round screens. While this isn't what you get on the touring bikes, it is a nice size screen, and it's got the different ride modes and such. I won't get into those on this ride, but there's a lot there, a lot to learn to really dial in this bike to your liking. The controls on each side of the handlebars are considerably different than the traditional Harley layout, in part because there's so many more buttons. But with some time and getting familiar with it, it should be second nature. It's a quiet bike, hearing more wind than anything else. Windshield, while small, feels good. I'm getting some air where I need it on my arms, but not getting smacked around in the head too much. See what these brakes feel like. Yeah, the rear brake, it's there. Harleys aren't necessarily known for their rear brakes. Front brake is definitely grabby. The transmission does not have the clunk. You definitely hear it and feel it click. But it is a little different, obviously. Position of the handlebars feels good. I am leaned forward a little bit. The width, they feel a little wide. There's different tire options for this bike. The stock ones feel pretty smooth on the street. I think the Pan America is a nice looking bike. An adventure bike obviously needs to be function first, then form and appearance, but it really has, I like it, a very aggressive look to it, I think. It has a nice finished look here on the inside, and that is a contrast to a couple of the bikes I've ridden, which were a little disappointing in that respect. Looks like this windshield can go up and down, which is nice. It's pretty spiffy. I do an hour commute to work. I feel like this wouldn't be the greatest bike for that ride. I definitely don't like my knees bent this much, and I'll be honest with you, the seat is starting to feel a little flat. I think it would be a great experience to be able to take a bike like this on an actual adventure ride. I've seen some of those rides on YouTube and they look really amazing. Places you would never take your touring bike. It's always nice to ride a bike in the element that it was really designed for, to see how it shines. The sound of the engine is taking some getting used to. There's kind of a clicky sound. When I start out on these demo rides, especially in a bike I've never ridden before, there's always a very tentative feeling in the beginning as I get adjusted to it. But then as you start getting comfortable, you start settling in and it's like, oh yeah. I'd like to break off this route and just go for a while on my own. This bike definitely has pep. That 1250 does move you. Man, yeah. The Harley rep was talking about a trip he took to Alaska on this bike. That's some commitment right there, man. If you have an opportunity to test ride a Pan America, even if you're not interested in that bike, definitely try it. It's worth the experience. If you live in an area where there's an opportunity to do adventure riding, I feel like this bike would be an amazing complement to a street bike. Having both of these would really be fun. Man, in the lower gear, and you crank that. I'd so love to be out by myself on this, on the right road, and just really wind it out. It's fun. One thing that's nice is that the gear indicator shows you what gear you're in, even when you have the clutch depressed, which the traditional Harley transmission does not do. It's a nice feature. Guys, thanks so much for coming along with me on this demo ride. I really appreciate you watching my video, If you'd like and subscribe, that helps me out a lot. This was a lot of fun. Definitely try one of these if you haven't.